Hey, what's up? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. And today is the weekly live Q&A. Hopefully people can hear me. It's always good when people can hear me. I have my friend Dave Fox on, who has been boom. And Dave Fox, who's been on the channel a bunch before and on Niche Site Project, the blog as well. And we're just gonna like answer some questions as normal, and it should be pretty awesome. So, and I've muted Dave, but I want to unmute Dave now, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Talk, Dave. See if this works. I cannot hear you.
Hold on. How about
Okay.
now?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well,
There.
welcome, Dave. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining up today. I see we have Marcus on, we have Sita, Jaron, Dennis, Steven. Really cool. And we had a couple questions that were sent in, and we'll get to those in a minute. And of course, in the chat, if you have any questions, just type them in, and that'll be stuff that we go over to. A couple quick announcements. Dave and I recorded like 3 videos a couple weeks ago or a week ago. I don't remember, but we're going to publish them. I'm going to publish them on Monday. So that'll be cool. One of them is going to be like just a general update, like what's Dave been up to in the last year. It's been about a year since we've gotten a video update. And then we're going to talk about like negative SEO. I know I've alluded to this for several months. So we're going to talk about negative SEO and like dealing with that, and then how to work with the disavow tool and stuff like that. And then the last one is like outreach. So Dave's been doing some cool outreach. Do you want to talk just a little bit about the outreach?
Sure. Yeah, I've just been doing some like fairly wholesome outreach with one of my blogs, and it's been working really well. It's reflected really nicely in the traffic. The traffic's gone up quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure that it's due to this particular type of outreach.
Sweet. Yeah, and we have like templates for all that stuff, sort of like the outreach emails that he sent. And as normal, it's not one of those quick sort of things. It's sort of what I would assume like my sort of slow approach, where it's like super methodical and like well thought out and a lot more surgical than just like shooting out 300 emails or something like that. So
yeah,
it's amazing. And you got like double the traffic on your site and double the revenue.
Yeah, like with like a fairly minimal amount of links too, I guess. Like, maybe like 10 or 12 links seem to do the trick. But it's the nature of these types of websites that we're talking to that does it. So
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. Really good set of interviews that we had. And as I've been doing the last few weeks, I'm just going to release all of these in one playlist. So you could like binge watch these if you want to. So
nice.
All right. So a couple more people hopped in. We have JS, We Entertain, Mark, Roman, what's up, Subham, We Entertain, and Ravi. How's it going? All right. So one question that was sent in, how do we find a trending niche? So Dave, what's your advice on that?
Trending niche. Depends how you're going about it. Like if you're just on Amazon, you could be sort of surfing around looking. It depends on the type of site. Are we talking about Amazon sites?
Just make an assumption. Yeah.
Amazon. Okay. Well, I mean, like I don't usually follow the trending niches, but I'm like the trends do pop out, So you kind of like bump into them if you're kind of used to surfing around on Amazon. You'll see them pop up. I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
Yeah. So number one, I would advise not to do that. I think it's a kind of a bad idea.
The trending stuff?
Yeah. So just don't worry about it. Like you're better off going for an evergreen thing.
I do the opposite too.
Yeah. It's like if you want to do that, you can go to Google Trends and just look it up. So you go to Google Trends, put in some stuff that you're like into or that you're interested in or you think is trending.
Yeah.
Or you could just like go to Google Trends and look. But I basically advise you don't do that. Depending on what you're trying to do, it's like a quick rise, but then it's going to like fail. Like it's not going to work out for you.
It does seem logical to follow like the trends that come along. Like say, for instance, drones. Maybe a couple of years ago, that was like a hot thing, right? But now it's just like any other niche. It's just like drones it's saturated. There's like a certain number of people in it, so the trends eventually wear off.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, so we'll leave it at that. And a couple other quick announcements before we get to the questions that were sent in. A couple cool ones were sent in. On July 9th, there is a free mini course via email that I'm doing. So basically, if you're on my email list, then you'll get this. But it's like a 3-part mini course series. So it'll be like that week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So July 9th, if you're not on the email list, do join the email list. There's a link in the description. By the way, Dave has a YouTube channel, and I've linked that in the description as well. So Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel over there?
Yeah, it's just for my my record label here in Canada, which I've been promoting for years, and I finally decided to sort of like actively promote it to the niche community, just because it's what I've been doing, and it's sort of like a lot of the money that I get from niche sites, I do put it back into that channel. So I'm like, what the heck? I might as well share it with people and see what they think of it, you know?
Cool. And it's, you know, there's like music and stuff, maybe there's some comedy stuff on there too, a little, or at least, or tell us about that. Yeah.
There's some weird stuff on there. Like if you dig into it, there's mostly music, to be honest, but like there's some weird stuff that's just on there. It's just my sense of humor. I don't know, can't explain it too well. You know, you have to check it out.
Yeah. So yeah, go check it out. It is pretty funny. Like I said, there's a link in the description. So go check out Dave's channel. We want to see like a spike of views when you check out the analytics in a couple days, Dave. So yeah, go subscribe to his channel and check it out, and you'll get to know Dave a little bit better. That sort of creepy Canadian sense. No, I'm just kidding. It's Dave's specific. It's not Canadian. It's just Dave's specific weird humor.
It's a little bit true, you know. Canada's a weird place.
Everyone's so nice. Everyone's really nice in Canada. That's what I know.
So they say.
So a couple other quick things. There are a few affiliate links in the description. They're clearly marked. I appreciate it if you use them, but a couple cool things. There's a theme that I've taken a look at a little bit more closely called REHUB. It looks really nice. I know a lot of people are using it with great success. If you're interested in Pinterest traffic, there's an on-demand webinar over there. My friend John Dykstra put it on. So you can check that out if you want. And then we'll hop over to a couple of the questions that were sent in. So these are a little bit longer, and I'm just going to read it out. So first one from Sita. This is, I just started hiring on Upwork, and you have a couple of writers. It's your first time, and you're in the process of assessing what you like and don't like. These issues came to mind. So number one, what's a reasonable length of time to wait before letting writers know they're hired? I want to make sure I get what I want and not jump too quickly. So Dave, have you hired a lot of writers in your time?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. So cool. Do you have any advice on like how long you should wait to let them know?
I'd say like usually when I go through like a hiring process, there's always like a bunch of writers that kind of apply. Maybe like on Upwork, there might even be like 20 or 30 people that apply. And then I actually talk to like 5 of them, because some of them obviously will not fit with what I'm doing. I can just tell by their application, because a lot of the applications are just like fairly generic. They're just like, hello, like I'll be perfect for your job kind of thing. And they're not, you can tell they maybe didn't even read it. So I just kind of get rid of those people immediately. You're left with a smaller group, and then you kind of, you can just start talking to them. And if when you talk to them, if the chemistry is right, then you can actually like sort of go from there essentially.
Cool. So in the specific question is, and I'll put in my 2 cents too. So the reasonable amount of time, it doesn't matter. This is not like dating, like you can let them know right away.
Yeah.
Or you can wait a little longer. So for me, what I personally do is I'll put up a job posting, and then I'll wait like 2 or 3 days to make sure I have enough to look through, enough proposals to look through. And then I'll immediately hire the 5 or whatever that look good. So I don't do the back and forth like you're talking about, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I just hire them and then get them to write something. That's like the best way for me to do it. The other thing to mention is I have like a few questions that I ask within the job posting, so that like it's kind of like the interview. So I like sort of, if they don't answer the questions well, then they're out. Right.
Right.
It's nothing tricky. Right. But I just want them to write a little bit. And, you know, if I ask a yes or no question and then say, tell me a little bit more, if they just say yes or no, and then don't answer anything else, then they're out. Right. I mean, they're supposed to be a writer.
Right. Yeah.
So,
like if they give me flack, then they're out. You know, like a lot of them they'll start kind of like arguing with you a little bit, sort of like trying to negotiate certain things. And as soon as I sort of see there's like a power struggle, I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you. Like, I don't even bother. Right. So,
right. Exactly. I mean, this actually fits in the next two questions. So I'll read the two together. What's a reasonable length of time to expect a turnaround? Let me start again. What's the reasonable length of time to expect a turnaround for one article or 5 articles or 10 articles that are 1,500 words a piece? And basically, it's whatever you want. You're the boss. So you can say, I want this in 1 day. And if they can't do it, that's the wrong person for you. Or if you don't care, then you can tell them a week. So you're literally the boss. You literally dictate. He just like whatever you want.
Right.
Third question is, I hired writers on a quote trial basis, that's what I recommend, and with the potential of future work. And Seed is using my template. So if you decide not to use a trial writer again, should I let them know or not? Well, again, totally up to you. But I usually let someone know because I'm professional, and I mean, there's no reason not to tell them. You could just say, like, hey, you know what? You can make up whatever excuse you want, right? You can say, hey, I didn't like what you wrote, or you could just say, hey, I'm not going to hire you again. You know, good luck. So, Dave, what do you do? Do you usually let them know, or what's your deal?
Yeah, I try to be pretty straightforward with them. I was just going to say that I lean towards writers that actually know about the topic. So if I'm hiring for like someone that knows about pianos, I'm like, do you know about pianos? And then they're like, yes, I do. And they sort of give me a sample. I'm like, okay, you do. So great. So that usually accelerates the process. With people that don't know about these things, a lot of people try to convince you that they know about something that they don't know about, and how great of a writer they are just in general. But usually I aim for people that know specifically about the topic, especially with niche stuff.
For sure.
That doesn't really answer the question, but
that's all right. Yeah. That's good.
It's important though. It's important. You know, like people try to they don't hire people that know anything about the topic for niche sites. It just seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, couple questions. If people just joined up, Dave Fox is joining us, which is awesome. So thanks for hopping on.
Yeah.
Do check out his YouTube channel. There's a link in the description. It's his music label. So pretty cool. This is kind of what Dave's passion is. And it's where he puts all the money that he earns, right?
Yeah, more or less. I do a lot of recording and stuff. So that's where some of the money goes for sure.
Cool. So check out Dave's channel, link in the description. Amin sent in a question, says, the income school guys think starting from 100,000 page views a month, you have to move to premium hosting, which is expensive. Do you share the point of view? Not specifically, but if I generalize the question, then yes. As you get more traffic, I did a whole video on this, by the way. As you get more traffic, you need to upgrade your hosting. Whether you use WP Engine or not, doesn't matter. Like as you buy better hosting and pay more money, then it'll be faster and just better in general. You'll potentially get better customer service. And if you're getting 100,000 visitors a month and you can't afford WP Engine, you've done something very wrong. So,
right.
Yeah. So if you get 100,000 visitors a month, like you'll happily upgrade your hosting and be backing it up daily with a service. Like that's a lot of traffic. So yeah, you should upgrade to something. Dave, you're just nodding. Yeah. So
yeah, like what is that? Like 3,500 a day or something like that?
Yeah.
So I mean, like I have scalable hosting. I pay like $100-ish, but like I remember I used to go like, wow, that's a lot of money, but then really it's not, because you want your like websites to function, and if they don't, then you're screwed. So like you need to have decent hosting. I've upgraded like 5 times like over the years. So
cool. Yeah. And I use, personally, I use Siteground. I've moved over from other hosting companies that kind of failed on the customer service side and tech support. So Siteground kicks ass. Dave, you use Siteground too?
Yeah, same here. And same thing, just like really bad customer service, really bad tech support, like really bad everything with some of these hosting companies. And I mean, they don't care. They're usually the bigger ones that have like a tons of customers anyway. They don't really care if you leave, right? So
yeah. And the thing is, like, most hosting companies are going to be like fine when everything's going well, but it's when you need help, that's when it's super important. And that is why people switch, because something happens and then you're like, well, this is not good. So
yeah, like it's actually like really, it can get really bad. I've been in like these quagmires of like, you just can't get out of like, you know, they have your site and it's like you're trying to move it over to some other hosting. It's like, it took me like 3 months to move a site, like migrate a site one time, just because the team wouldn't get back to me and they didn't even know what what was going on. So stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Another question from We Entertainment Hindi. I am beginning in blogging. Can you suggest what I can do to earn at least $500 a month? So I have a video that has a title like make a $500 a month, something like that. Go watch that one. But basically, if you're just getting started, it's a very exciting time for you. It's basically like unlimited. I would say the biggest piece of advice is to like find someone that you like and then sort of follow their method from like beginning to end before you start trying to like do everyone's method, right? If you're trying to do this, if you're trying to like learn by committee and you're taking a piece from everywhere and you're just getting started, highly likely you're going to make a mistake by picking stuff that doesn't work well. And then you're just going to be confused. So just pick one like person or group of people on their blog. Income School guys are really great. Another reference to them and that sort of thing. But like, don't try and do everything at once. Anything to add, Dave, on that?
Yeah, just like be consistent, like post consistently for a consistent amount of time. Because I know people that they want to get to that point of $500 a month, and then I'll ask them like, how many blog posts have you done in the past 6 months? And they'll say like 3. And I'm like, well, that could have, you know, that's probably part of the reason you haven't posted enough. Like you got to post more. And they're like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Anthony says, oh, and I think a couple of people hopped on. If I missed you, I see Yokohama Life. It's late there. Thanks for getting up. Another question here. Would I favor a writer who's more familiar with the niche, but a decent writer, or someone who's not familiar who can write really well? Dave, what do you think?
I mean, I think like knowing about the topic trumps pretty much anything, unless they're a really bad writer. Like, I mean, that's what I usually go for, because there's something about reading a site where they actually know that people that know also can relate to. So you can't beat that. But you know, at the same time, having a really good writer that understands like how these kind of sites work is handy. So I don't know, they're pretty neck and neck as far as I'm concerned, but I would say knowing about the topic is just a little more important.
Okay. And I think it depends. I think if you have a topic which does require like special insight, you know, it can be more important. So, you know, since we're talking about your YouTube channel, where, you know, music is the topic, right? That could be something where like you would need someone to know about music, you know, depending on how deep it is. But if it's something you could just go research, right? Let's say it's, I don't know, it's like some financial thing and you just need like some general financial research done where someone can go read resources on like banking sites or whatever. Like, I don't think it's necessarily important to have someone that's a financial. In fact, it may be worse to have someone who's an expert that will write in like crazy jargon that no one can or just jargon that people don't understand. So it depends, and it depends on how in the weeds that topic is, I guess.
Right. Like when I'm interviewing writers, I usually look for like a combination of all those things. And then usually there's one person that jumps out at me and is like, oh, this person's perfect. You just have to wait a little bit and go through the people, and someone will pop out usually in the interviewing process to me where they can write, they know about the topic, they're friendly, and then I just hire them.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Next, Anthony also says, what's better for affiliate linking, a button, call to action, or a plain link? Dave, what do you think?
For me, plain links, like plain hypertext links, are always what has worked for me. For some odd reason, like I've sort of tested this, and it's just always like the yellow hypertext.
Yeah. Same here. I like plain text, but test it out. And I say this kind of often, but the fact is, I think it doesn't really matter. Just like pick one and do it. You could test it if you want, but my theory is a button looks more like aggressive to push you to buy, and the text link can be a little bit more like a gentle recommendation to go over to Amazon or whatever.
That's true.
So that's just my hunch.
You can also test it, right? Like you can use the outbound article feature in analytics to test it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want, you can just see what's being clicked and then use whatever is being clicked. It's hard. Like, it took me a while to find that feature. I don't know if you've used it too much, Doug, or if you use it. That thing. It's in Monster Insights. It's like just a random feature.
Gotcha. And I've seen it, but I haven't paid much attention to it. From my perspective, I was just like, it's easier to put a text link in, and it seems to be working pretty well. So
right.
I have a pretty, my conversion rate is reported on Amazon is usually like 10 to 12, 13%. So that's pretty high.
Yeah.
I stick with it. Sean says, hey, Dave. Hey, Doug. Dave, you and I both applied for a Spencer Haas internship a few years back. So that's cool. Sean Baird. And then Benji's dad is on too. So I know that Dave has to leave us in like 10 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes. So any last questions for Dave? We start getting them in, and I'll try and push them through here. So Danish says, I'm getting a guest post from a strong EDU website, but I have an article on, say, the best ballpoint pen. So won't it be irrelevant since it would be a university website? Dave, what's your take on that?
Do you want to try that? I have to process that for a second.
Okay. Well, I'll start answering. Basically, take the link, right? Who cares? It's more important about, a university site is going to have like content on like a huge giant range of topics. So my hunch is, as long as the post is about like something relevant, that's probably going to be super awesome. But even if it's not, like, of course you'll take the link.
Yeah. If it's like,
take the link. Yeah.
Certain domains, you kind of just want to take the link. Like EDUs are good, right? Or orgs.
Yeah.
.gov, if you can somehow, get that.
And I know there's a student of mine for 5-figure niche site that's gotten a few .gov links through having like really very good content, which is awesome.
And that ties in with the thing about like my outreach thing, where you can actually get those links if you do certain things,
Right.
So.
Right. Anthony says, is the Google Sandbox a myth made up by SEO gurus? This is what you heard from those who gain traffic within 3 months or less. I don't think it's a myth. I think, who got the traffic within 3 months or less? By the way, the context of the question, it sounds like the people are not SEO gurus. So that would tell me that they may be less experienced. They may have less information to draw from. But I've seen it time and time again by myself and peers and other people, like 6 months hits and like a weight is lifted and your rankings go up. So I think there's some randomization to it. And I think there are things that you could do, like get a lot of links, got a lot of branded links from awesome sites in a short time. But since, the last 3 years, it takes like 6 months to really like break out. So, Anthony, I would question who got that information. But Dave, have you been able to like beat the sandbox?
I mean, I see whenever I start a site, I see the sandbox. I like have to like live through the sandbox, and then at some point things start to like kind of get out of it. So I mean, it is a thing that I've noticed like every single time I've done a site. So I don't know if it's like Google probably doesn't call it that, but it's definitely part of their algorithm, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah. And I think and Duke mentions our kind moderator, thanks moderators, appreciate it. Duke mentions think about the guys who said that they tell you 6 months to I think I'm reading that wrong. There is a sandbox, just the amount of time varies. Yeah, again, I think there's like some random stuff going on, and I know people that have beat the sandbox, but they basically got a lot of links, like really good content, and they were driving traffic from social and other areas. So it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can do it, but you got to know what you're doing, basically.
Yeah. And also I think Google has a way of like, it's assessing what kind of site you actually are. So depending on what kind of site, it's sort of like putting you in a certain category and going, well, this is a, you know, like a winter boot site. So therefore it compares you with the other sites that are similar. And then you have to like, 'cause there's a process to it where it depends on the niche, right? I think.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Couple more questions here, and then I know Dave has to go. Everyone be sure to check out Dave's channel. So Sita says, thanks for answering the questions. Their stream was messed up over there, but cool, we got to them. Blue Fuse says, I see a battle between Brian Dean's Skyscraper method versus smaller content. Who should you listen to? Dave, what's your take? Do you go smaller content or longer content?
I generally try to get like longer content if I can. So a lot of times I'll get my writer to do, if necessary, like a double article or a triple. That just means like triple the length of the usual size, which would be like say 800 words. So, you know, it could be like 1,500 words would be like, that's not a skyscraper size, but like I try to get it longer if it's a topic that like requires it. So some topics require more depth, right? So I think that figures into Google and stuff. So
cool. And I would say do a blend is probably the best way to go. I would suspect. The thing is, obviously Brian Dean does a really good job, right? He only has something like 40 or 50 posts on his site, but he spends most of his time marketing it. And or at least obviously the content's good, but he spends a lot of time marketing it. Actually, I challenge people to go, if you go check out some of the articles, it's a really good headline that Brian may have, and then he'll show sort of like some of the broad strokes of what to do. But if you actually tried to do like guest posting or the skyscraper as is described on like a blog post, you're going to be like, does that actually work? Like, I mean, you really have to work hard at promoting it. So when I look at some of the content, not all, some of it's a little bit thin, but very well marketed.
It's like actually lately I've seen, Doug, you've probably seen this too, but it'll be like top 100 swimming pool like cleaners, and it'll be like a skyscraper post, and I'll be like, what the hell is this shit? Like, you know, like this, it'll be like a 5,000 word article on some pretty insignificant topic. And I guess those people are trying the skyscraper method.
Yeah. Interesting.
It works sometimes, I guess, because they'll be at the top, but I'll just be like, holy, there's like, this is a long post for this topic. Like I don't know who would read it, but it's crazy.
Gotcha. Okay. Couple quick questions. So we'll try and blast through. So who's the best quality vendor for PBN links? I don't know. I don't use them. Dave doesn't use them either, right?
Not anymore, no.
Okay. All right, cool. So we don't know. Duke does mention buttons get about a 20% CTR. All right. And then James says, this will be the last question, then I'll let you go, Dave. Sure. What would be your top tip for someone within the first 300 days of being a niche site entrepreneur?
Oh man. Just, you know, do your research, like make sure you don't pick a topic immediately, like sort of just sit on it for a bit like a week or something. If you think of a good idea, just wait before you publish that website. And then if it seems like a good idea, like a week later or 2 weeks later, and you've thought about it and you've researched it, then go ahead and like start that website, and then just like start and then don't stop for a little while. Just like work on it for, you know, maybe 2 months straight, like posting every 3 days for 2 months. And, you know, at that point you can assess how it's going, like once you've done the posting and stuff. So something like that. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, I think I have a video, James Kim. So I have a video, I just posted it in there. It's called The First 1,000 Days. So basically the first 300 days, it's going to be a little frustrating, and you're going to think,
yeah,
this is not working well. And I see other people that seem to be doing really well, and I don't understand why, because I seem smarter than Doug. I seem smarter than Dave, and I don't know how they're able to do it. And you'll be fine. So just be persistent and expect it to be frustrating. Watch the video I sent you. My friend Rob and I shot that, and it is the 1,000-day rule as made popular by the Tropical MBA guys. So check out that video, James. I think it'll be really helpful. All right.
Like you gotta blast out of the gate though, right? Don't you think, like when you're starting a site, like you just have to hustle get some posts on the site. Like don't stop at like 3 posts, like try to get to like 20 or something.
Yeah. So I think there are, yes, I would say you could start with 10 or so. Yeah. If you do, you know, 3 posts and you're like, this doesn't work, then yeah, you haven't tried hard enough. But I will say you don't have, I mean, everyone has constraints, right? So if you can only publish 1 post per month for the next 3 months, that's fine. There are exceptions everywhere.
Yeah,
like there's no script to do it. So whatever you have to do is totally fine. If you don't have any money, that's fine. You could write it yourself and just take your time.
And it's going to seem pretty thankless too, because there's not a lot of crazy activity necessarily on the, you know, on the site in the first 3 months. So you're going to be kind of, you know, bored or something, but you have to just like power through it.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. So Dave, I know you got to go. Thanks for hopping on. And everyone, I know a lot of people joined up in the last little bit. We have a couple of videos that Dave and I did. They're going to come out on Monday. So it's like an update on Dave in general. Then we're going to have negative SEO and how to deal with negative SEO. And I mean, we talk about it in the video. So Dave, you had some serious problems with negative SEO. It really hit your bottom line for a couple months. So we go into the weeds on that. And then we talk about something better, which is outreach. We have templates for this sort of cool outreach method, which, I mean, it's a spin on the same theme that we've heard, but we have templates that we'll be able to share with everyone. So thanks a lot, Dave. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Take it easy.
Have a good weekend, man.
You too. See ya.
See ya. And boom. Okay. So it's just me for now. And I see Steve said, it was Income School guys that says there's no sandbox in the latest video, with a guy who said he got to $100 a day within 6 months. Okay. Steven, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a video. The reason why he got out of the sandbox is because he used the keyword golden ratio that was not in the video with the Income School guys, which I can respect. But let me pull up the video with Jaron, and I will paste I'll paste the video in there. So you go watch that. And I also had the pleasure to talk with Jaron. Jaron, are you still on here, buddy? Sorry to say it like that, but yeah, basically, if you use the keyword golden ratio, you can get traffic sooner. And my hunch is like the lower search volume that you go for, the better. So Steven, the guy, Jaron, who's on this session, or he was earlier, he got to $100 a day within 6 months. He used the keyword golden ratio. All right. Jeff says, you're a 5-figure niche site student, and a question about review versus informational. Okay, great. So thanks, Jeff, for mentioning you're a student. With products and an informational article, will they be reviewed as spammy by Amazon? No. not in general, examples of them versus recommendations. So in the informational article, if you can make a recommendation to make it easier or faster or cheaper for the person that's reading it, then that's a good recommendation, right? That's the kind of stuff you want to have. So it's like how to bullet journal. And then you could say, hey, like here's a great journal that you can get. This is what I use. Like that's totally fine, Jeff. That's a good thing to do. Duke mentions that the income school guys also say that it takes 6 months for Google to trust your site. So be patient. Indeed. Okay. As we're pushing through, all right, we're talking more about the sandbox and stuff like that. And basically, I mean, if you start a site, you'll probably get more traffic after 6 months than before 6 months. So if you call it a sandbox or whatever, then you can call it that, or you could call it something else. You could call it the waiting period or whatever, right? It doesn't matter, but it takes 6 months for you to get more traffic. All right. All right. So as we're going down here, blah, 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 patience, encouragement, everyone's cool. All right. And thanks everyone for welcoming Dave on here. I'm trying to catch up. So Sita says, when analyzing the first page results for the ideal keyword percentage, should you analyze posts that have all in title or analyze all the first page results? I don't really, I would say I wouldn't do either one of those. If those are my only choices, I wouldn't do either one. Patrick, what's up? Good to have you on. Cito, just analyze like 2 or 3 of the well-ranking sites that are similar to like what your site would be. So don't analyze like the e-commerce sites or like a YouTube video, right? Other affiliate sites are what you analyze. You don't have to analyze all of them. You're just trying to get close to the right percentage, not exactly match the percentage. Mohammed says, on average, how many words total is it recommended to start the site with? 10,000? Yeah, that's a good ballpark. Good ballpark there. All right. Steven says, you just wanted my insight. You found a bunch of KGR terms. For example, best bird feeders for Wisconsin or other states. Should you do a massive post with all the 50 states or single post? I would probably do the 50 posts, but that's just a guess, right? That's like borderline getting into like local SEO type ideas, which I don't typically do. But, just talking about it, I would maybe try all 50 and then see what happens. And then if it doesn't work how you want it to work, then you could combine them and then see what happens there. All right. And yeah, I posted a couple of videos in the chat. So do check them out. Those are helpful. I think the 1,000-day rule, how many people, let me know in the chat, in the 1,000-day, or where are you in your like journey? Have you been doing this for a year? How many days roughly? How many years? Just curious. And if you haven't, I haven't paid much attention, but if you didn't hit the thumbs up, okay. So not many thumbs up. We actually have 2 thumbs down as well. So, thanks for that. Any feedback is good. If you could let me know what you don't like, that would be great. Yeah, so if you have the opportunity, hit the thumbs up. If I was helpful, if I answered your question. All right. Anthony says, a certain post may have a season-based topic. Should that or can that post be held off from being published with the right time, like 3 or 4 months before the holiday instead of immediately? I would probably just publish it immediately. I think one other thing, this is a small digression here. I've been working on this frequently asked questions page. So I'm going to put that out on Monday as well. There are something like 20 questions that I went through. I'm going to add to it, but a lot of them are common ones, of course, like what theme to use, what hosting, like those sort of questions. Like, I found a keyword, should I go for it? The search volume is 5,000, but it's a KGR term, stuff like that. So I answer those. It's coming out on Monday, so keep an eye out for that. But through some of the questions, a lot of it is, we're overthinking things. And, Anthony, in this question, it shows like great insight that you're trying to think about how to do things the best way. And you're like, oh, it's seasonal. Should I wait to publish it to give it like the perfect amount of like age time or publicity or something like that? And it's really hard to predict that. Even if you had like tons of data, it would be really hard to be accurate in your prediction because there's so many assumptions. For example, look at the weather, right? Like meteorologists have tons of data, like an unlimited amount of data, and they're still wrong quite often. Maybe in certain geographies they're like much more accurate. I live sort of in the mountains. It's like the higher plains and mountains around me were at like 5,000 feet. The mountains really impact the weather, and the elevation impacts the like temperature. So like whether you get, an inch of rain or like 8 inches of snow, like you could just be off by like 1 degree. The point is, don't try and overthink things. Like most of the time, if you just like do something, it's better. So whether you publish it 3 months before or immediately, it probably doesn't matter. So I try to tell people, like, don't even think about it that deep. Don't even think about it. All right, Mohammed says, will the site work without any backlinking, purely on content and proper keywords? Yes, but it depends. Subham says, you've been into this stuff for about 7 months. So that's cool. You're still within the first year. Agers is saying he'll check out the 1,000-day video. And let's see, some people, Marcus is in for 400 days. Cool. Duke mentions the bird feeder may be great by the region. So 10 states per region, just a thought. Cool. That'll be a good way to approach it. Ager says, your site just achieved 90 published posts. What are the next moves? What are my suggestions? You're getting 20 to 30 visitors a day. So Agers is a student of 5-figure niche site. So Agers, stick with the plan. I know your site's fairly young, and you're still you're actually going a little faster than some people. But I would say continue. Everything's super simple, right? Continue publishing content, right? And then continue getting your guest posts. I know you're really doing well with the guest posts, so I would say continue with that work. And what you'll, at this point, you may be able to get some insight. Like once you get a few more visitors. Agers, are you out of the sandbox, by the way? The thing is, once you start getting a little bit more in traffic, I think you can look at data and start making some assumptions on like where to add more content, for example. And I think that would be a good thing. Anthony says, like, you wouldn't post a Father's Day or Mother's Day post well past its date. If you wrote a few articles, wouldn't it be better in this example? Here's the thing, it'll come back next year. So I would say like either don't waste your time trying to do seasonal stuff, or just publish it and then, hope it'll come back around. If you have it out, like if you have a piece of content published, then hopefully the age will help it. All right. I think. Subham says, yesterday you went through a few ideas for starting a niche site, but you can't decide on what site because it's confusing. What'll be more profitable and which is less competition? How do you decide? Well, that's difficult, right? So as far as more profitable, you have to look at the price of the products and like the popularity and the keyword research, right? So you can make some assumptions on that. As far as the competition, you should analyze the competition, look at the backlinks, look at the quality of the content, the length of the content, the age, all that stuff. And then, you can determine if something's more competitive or not. And then you just pick. It will be hard. You're probably going to have like 3 or 4 different ideas that are all pretty much equal, and probably most of them will work, and maybe one of them is going to be, you know, more competitive or harder or something like that. But at the end of the day, like doing this stuff, entrepreneurship, like you're making decisions based on incomplete information. So you just have to make an assumption, start doing anything, and then you can correct your course along the way once you have more data. So hopefully that helps, Subham. Basically, you just have to pick. Anthony says you have a site. You built a site producer. How do you convince him that writing blog posts will not only help his business, but he can monetize later and make passive income? I would say, how do you convince someone? Well, I mean, I guess you would just tell them about it and say, hey, this is possible. As far as like writing blog posts and stuff, I mean, you could probably introduce him to him or her to, or him, ideas on like content marketing and just like getting traffic and help the business. Like I would approach it like that most likely. Ager says, how can I tell if the sandbox is off? It's basically 6 months. Is your site younger or older than 6 months? Sindana says, is Reddit a hard site to beat in the rankings? Some good KGR terms, and there are Reddit posts on page 1. I'm not sure. I haven't done much looking at that, but obviously Reddit's a big site with a lot of like posts and information, some of it good, but I don't know. I don't have any firsthand experience. I could tell you that I personally don't like to go to Reddit because it's basically like a forum, and there's a lot of garbage in there, and there's a lot of posturing, and just I don't like Reddit very much. Like anytime I've taken a look, I thought the people were a little bit rude. It's like internet comments, right? Like there's a decent amount of trolling, and like you don't know if the people that are providing the information know what they're talking about. Again, I don't spend much time there, so my impression is poor. I know some people love Reddit. I think people are jerks there. So can you beat it? I don't know. I would imagine it's kind of like a forum. Ager says, July is your plan to decrease published articles by 5 to 10. Agers, I think we should probably take this offline to, like, you can send me an email to the support email, of course. I think decreasing the amount of articles that you're publishing is fine. And I think spending more time on link building is better, right? If you have that much content out there, you should be able to make plenty of money if your rankings are good. And by the way, people, I see Patrick says that Reddit is the worst. If people have experience outranking or not outranking Reddit, let us know in the chat and or the comments, just because I don't have much experience in that area. So a couple other questions here. Subham says you're getting good outcomes from Quora and Pinterest. Any other similar social site suggestions to get traffic? Okay, here may be the nugget of wisdom that I could help you out with. If you're getting good outcomes from something, just do more of it. All right. So if Quora and Pinterest are working well, do that more, right? Do it harder. Don't try to do other stuff similar to it. So if something's working, then do that. So if you're publishing keyword golden ratio content and it's working, keep doing it. If you're able to like do outreach in a specific way that you figured out, like Dave did, and we're going to share on Monday, then do more of it, right? Don't try and spread it out. Like, do more of it. It's very tempting to try to spread it out and spread your attention, but it's a bad idea. Okay. Anthony says, if you never submit a sitemap to Google, will that slow things down in terms of being discovered? I don't know. Maybe. If you don't have a well-linked site, probably. If your site's well linked up, then it probably should be fine. Ahmed says, as simple as possible, how to know if a niche is scalable. The number of products sort of that fit in the niche, I would say. Danish says your website is a year and a half and it's out of the sandbox since January, and you can see daily organic traffic like 3 to 5 and sometimes 0. You have around 9 do follow links. Am I doing very bad? Well, I don't have the full context of what you've done or how much time, but I think you should be doing much better than that. You should be getting much more traffic than that, but I don't have enough data to say that. On average, I would say, if I'm just making an assumption about an average, Amazon affiliate site, you should be doing more. So Dave was just on, and I coached him for a few sessions, 5 or 6 sessions back in 2015. And within a year, I'm trying to remember, within a year, I think he was at like 2 or 3,000 a month. And then within 18 months, he was at about 5,000. All right. So 18 months, which is around how old your site is. But you didn't mention that. You said that it's been out of the sandbox since January. So that tells me maybe you didn't work on it until like in the last 6 months. But Danish, I'm not sure. All right. Anthony says, when you make a sale from one of your Amazon affiliate links, how so does it appear in your backend dashboard? I'm not really sure what you're asking. Can you rephrase that or provide some context or something? It shows up as a sale in there. I don't really understand what you're asking. Marcus says you were thinking about setting up a resource page on your site. Do you think those are worth the time? Yeah, they can be. Sure. Supum says, well, writing articles only on KGR keywords give a good amount of traffic to a site because they have less searches. Yes, it can. Oh, and I forgot. There's a good question related to that sent in by Sammy. Sammy says, thanks for all the great info and content you share. I have a question that you've tried to get an answer from on the videos in the website, but he wasn't able to find it. So if you go for keywords, this is a really good question, by the way. So if you go for keywords with the KGR and the search volumes are under 250, how can that bring a lot of traffic to your site? Let me know. Do people have that same question out there? I get that you can rank for those and you've tried and you think it's great, right? But how do you get more traffic above the one keyword that has been searched for in the past? Will Google rank you higher for another close related keyword as well because you rank high for that KGR term? It'd be great if you could explain a bit more about this. So there are probably 3 main things, and I should be able to remember 2 of them at least, maybe even the 3rd. So number 1, the keyword search volumes that you get from any tool are an assumption. It's an estimate, right? So there's an algorithm that every search volume tool, the keyword tools, use, right? They're all a little bit different. They pull data from other places. They make assumptions. They use different averages for the number of months that they use. So the search volumes are just an estimate. So that's number 1. It's not exact. The main thing, number 2, is like you'll get traffic for long tail keywords that have a 0 search volume or that have never been searched before. A few years ago, I think the metric was something like, 1/3 or 2/3 of every query entered into Google was like a new one that has never been done before. I don't remember what it was, but you're thinking, wow, that's crazy. Like a pretty big chunk of the queries typed into Google have never even been searched for before ever. So if you find a KGR term, there are a lot of other related terms that phrases, right? A KGR phrase, there's a lot of other phrases that people like may not search for often or ever, right? So that will bring in traffic as well. And then the other part is Number 3, yes, like if you're ranking for a term, like your site may have, this is a very, a smaller point, but your site will have relevancy toward the topic. So that is a good thing in general. And Google will think, hey, that site knows a lot about a specific topic. All right. Let's see. So that's a good question from Sammy and related to Subum, right? So it's low searches. And the other part is, if you publish like 10 articles, 10 KGR articles, then yeah, there's some limit to how much traffic you'll be able to get. So keep that in mind. If you publish 100 of them, well, then you'll get more. All right. So cool. We got some good feedback about Reddit here. So Duke says that he has beat Reddit before, and it's basically the same as a forum. Yeah. So, and I think, like I said, I don't, if I've hopped over to Reddit, like it's just kind of a snarky place in the internet. So some people love it, but I'm just not particularly in the mood for that most of the time. Marcus says you've gotten a lot of traffic from Pinterest and some from Quora. What you found is the traffic sucked. It's not buyer oriented. Yeah, I agree. Subum says you read that I sold a site for $200,000, 235. Can I tell you how much the site was making per month before it was sold? Yeah, actually, if you look on my site, it's called Project Go White Hat. There's like a long series. So it was making, when I joined the project, it was making like 10K a month. We did some cool stuff with content and with link building, and we got it up to 32,000 in December of 2016, Subum. And then after that, revenue went down some and rankings went down just a tad. But the biggest thing was Amazon changed the commission rate in March of 2017, and that hit the bottom line by like 35%. John says, can an expired domain be sandboxed? Yes, I believe so. And Duke says, if you have the proper sitemap, then it'll alert Google when you update articles and your updates get indexed sooner. Anthony says, how soon does a sale appear in your back end? And Duke is telling us, yeah, it's basically like that day. Like it's pretty close to real time, so you could see it in there, and then you can see it from there, right? Right. Yep. And Duke says Reddit users are really anal about posting links. You don't use it. There's a really good subreddit called Just Start. It's an Amazon affiliate group. Yeah, I've actually, some people have told me about that. I've taken a peek over there, and I've actually gotten some traffic from that group, I believe. And it's funny, like if I went there and started talking, like people would just bash me, right? Like I think most of the stuff that I've seen is just people bashing me. And Ivan, yeah, Ivan, I skipped your question because I'm trying to keep a flow, but I'll come back to it in just a second. Sorry about that. Because I was talking about Reddit. So Reddit, yeah, like I said, people are just, they're very particular. And I've like wanted to go over and like add my 2 cents, but I'm sure people will just be like, Doug's an asshole. Like he's just promoting his own stuff. So I just stay out of it. All right. Ivan says, how much do you and Dave earn monthly? So Dave and I don't work together or anything like that. Dave earns roughly 5K a month, something like that, 5 to 7, something like that. And I don't publish my income. So Ivan, good question. And yeah, to be honest with you, I often struggle with the live chat to be able to like go through it. If you miss someone's question for like 1 second, like Ivan, they're like, Doug, what are you doing? You skipped my question. And I'm like, I'm trying my best, Ivan. I'm trying my best. It's very hard to do this. I don't show ads. I get paid nothing for all these videos. So I'm doing my best. All right, Evan, what's up? Good to have you on. And Marcus, now we're talking a lot about the Google Sandbox. You feel there is some sort of URL page sandbox depending on search volume. Is that something I consider to be true? Yeah, I think so. Marcus, by the way, have you heard me say that? I literally said, I think there's a sandbox. I can't prove it. I haven't tested it, but I know when I publish a lot of content, like traffic goes up about 6 months after, right? So, and I think it does depend on the search volume. Lower search volume, I think I think it's a shorter sandbox. Again, I think that's why the KGR works. And I think that's why like Jaron was able to, you know, get a lot of traffic within a short time. Also, he has a really good niche. All right. Health Fitness Beauty says, how can we increase traffic on a blog? Please make videos on free and paid traffic. Thanks a lot. Cool. So I don't do any paid traffic, so I'm not going to make any videos on that. I'm sure you can find a lot of others from like qualified people. As far as increasing traffic on a blog, you have two options. You can add more content and you can get backlinks, right? I say do both. As far as getting free traffic, I have some videos on like SEO, so you can just check out those videos. And Ivan says, I should post something on Just Start in Reddit. It's a great subreddit. I'm sure it's great, but like, I mean, I guess I could post stuff that I'm posting on my blog and then link back to it so people could check it out. But again, I'm pretty sure people are just going to be like, you're just linking to your site. You're a jerk. It's just what I've seen from Reddit. It's just, Ivan, do you check it out? Like, if anyone can convince me, maybe I'll give it a test. I have a couple ideas to short circuit it so that I don't like come off that way. But I don't spend time there, and I do understand the community aspect of it all. And I know that if someone's running a subreddit, the admins like want to have a community and they want to have people that are contributing value. And I have a low interest on like continually. I mean, there's only so many things I can do, and I'm spending a lot of time on YouTube, right? So I could potentially do this sort of stuff on the subreddit. But again, I feel like a lot of people would just try and argue with me. And I just, I try not to argue with people. And that's part of the reason why it's the live streams are a little tough when I have to, answer comments that are critical. They're more combative and stuff like that. So something we have to deal with, but cool. And Marcus is saying, you heard it phrased like that, but you've experienced it yourself. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think it is. Marcus says, Sita says, you posted an infographic to Reddit's infographic directory for a backlink. Cool. Did that work out well? Maybe I should do that. Marcus says about Reddit, you think it's been overused by internet marketers, so they basically are pretty rough against anyone linking out. Indeed. Yeah. I mean, I remember like 2 years ago, people would come out with, here's how I got, so much traffic from Reddit doing X, Y, and Z. So, and again, I have a little idea, and maybe I'll check it out and see how it works, but it may totally fail. But I have a little idea. Oh, and JS says, the income school guys recognize the sandbox, but they don't call it the sandbox. They say Google is testing the content. JS says sandbox. Yeah. And by the way, I'm not, everything that I'm reading from the chat, I don't know if it's true. I'm sure JS, but I'm not quoting the income school guys, Jim and Ricky, at all. But I'm just reading what's in the chat. So I don't know what they think or believe personally. So just a disclaimer on that. Do I know anything about affiliate marketing ninjas? No, I sure don't. All right. Any other questions out there? Sort of slowed down a bit. Quick reminder, if you're just joining in, like Evan, by the way, be sure to check out Evan's interview if you haven't. But basically, Dave Fox was on for a little bit. So if you're just tuning in, be sure to rewind it. He was on for like the first half hour. We answered a few questions. The announcements I have. So on Monday, 3 videos are coming out. Dave was on with me for 3 interviews. We talk about just what he's been up to. We talk about like focusing as well in that interview. We talk about negative SEO, and he had some sites have some negative SEO problems, and it cost a lot of money. Very, very big deal. So he tells us about that experience and how he dealt with it, and then we go into sort of an outreach like strategy that he's been using. He's been able to double the traffic and revenue for a particular site, and yeah, it's working great. So we have some templates that we'll share with you, and that will be coming out Monday. All right, Ivan says the Just Start Reddit is good, and it's one of the few that he looks at. Some people will hate, but most won't if you're helpful. Cool. Thanks for the feedback on that. Maybe it's something I can check out. Sita says it worked out in the sense you got a backlink on Reddit, but you haven't followed up afterwards in terms of traffic. Subim says, how much traffic is a good day for an Amazon and niche blog? It depends. Anthony says, what do I think about no follow links in Amazon links? What if you already wrote 30 posts, but they don't have no follow? Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Sita says you use the free version of a pro theme. You're pretty happy with it and it gets updates regularly. Do you think it's worthwhile paying for the pro version? Is there a benefit like better SEO? Probably depends on the theme. I don't know which one you're using, Sita. So if you get additional features, that could be helpful, of course. If you get support, that could be helpful. So it just depends on the theme. I have no idea. You could probably ask people that have the theme, and that may be helpful, but yeah, I'm not sure. All right. Any other questions out there? So don't forget, those videos are dropping on Monday. The other cool thing is the frequently asked questions page. After we finish up here, I'm going to actually proofread best I can some of the posts. There's a lot of content I'm putting out on Monday, so keep an eye out for that. If you're not on the email list, do sign up for the Niche Site Project email list. That's how you'll get notified when it comes out. So I'll publish it on Monday, and keep an eye out for it. A lot of questions on there. Hopefully it'll be a place where I could direct people, and just in general, these are probably like very long, extremely long tail keywords. Like I tried to do some keyword research on them, and then I realized internet marketing is such a small niche. Like overall, the search volumes are like minute to nothing. So I was like, I know people are searching for this stuff, so I'll just publish it anyway. All right. Ivan says, am I experimenting with monetization in any way? Sort of, but probably not in the way that you're thinking. Anthony says, and if you have a more like deeper question with that, feel free to follow up. Anthony says, do I use no follow links? If not, why? I do use no follow links. You're hearing that they can impact your Google ranking. Well, I use them where appropriate. So if it's appropriate to use one, then do it. But if not, then don't do it. Kelly says, how much should you be earning after a 3-month period? Assuming that I'm going to assume that you are doing everything right and everything's going your way, and you're working on it about 5 to 7 hours per week. This is all per the 5-Figure Niche Site course and outline. I would say within 3 months, it could be around like, $10 to $70 per month, something like that. And it should be like on a growth curve so that by the 6th month, 5, 6, 7 months, somewhere around there, you hit your first $100 month. That is just a general assumption, Kelly. Subham says, can we make Amazon niche sites on Blogger? Yeah. So Duke says you can, but don't. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. And J Parda 007, it's the first time on the live chat. Welcome. Glad to have you on. Any questions? All right. Kelly says you're currently hitting 280 at the moment. That's great. and you're doing well if you are 3 months in. And I take it you're using keyword golden ratio content. All right, Ivan says, you meant from changing from Amazon affiliate to private affiliate deals and selling your pixels to brands and stuff. No, I'm not doing anything like that. Anthony says, can I expand on what you mean by appropriate for the no follow links? Yeah. So if you're basically, I'm referring to the Google like webmaster tools and the the things that you should be using no follow links for. All right. So if it's like a paid ad, right? A paid like advertorial or something like that should be a no follow link. As far as the affiliate links, like you do, if you do some research on the history, you'll find that at some point in time, Google was like, hey, these affiliate links should be no follow. But then Google is smart, so they understand what affiliate links are. So if you don't mark your Amazon affiliate links as no follow, it's usually not an issue. So, but Anthony, if you're worried about your affiliate links, then I recommend you go read up on like your affiliate links and what they should be like, and then read up on no follow links as well. All right. 007 says, can you tell me if you're using Easy Azon, can I still use the Amazon Content Insights features with one tag? I don't know, but what I recommend you do is contact both Easy Azon and Amazon and then ask them. So I'm not really sure. All right. James says, how do you know if your site's in the Google Sandbox? If it's under 6 months old, and let me rephrase that. If you've been working on your site for 6 months or less, then it's probably in the sandbox. And how do you get yourself out of the sandbox? Do work on your site for 6 months. Yeah, Evan says you made your site on Squarespace, so anything's possible. And okay, Duke says, Anthony, there is a WordPress plugin for nofollow, title and nofollow for your links, and it makes it easy to edit your links to add nofollow. Yep, there are several sort of tools like that, plugins like that, but Duke knows his WordPress stuff, so I trust him. Himanshu says, any idea about auto blogging? You read somewhere about it, and does it work? Probably not. No, I would avoid it. And Ivan was asking about like Amazon affiliate to private affiliate deals and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could do that, right? That's an option. You could sell ads on your site. I think it depends on just what you want to do. And I have heard of people like maybe they have an Amazon affiliate like site and they're getting lots of traffic, and you could also, sell ads on certain pages. You have leverage if you have traffic, right? So you could say, you can approach a brand and say, hey, this site gets 30,000 page views a month, and the time on site is, or the time on the page is, X amount of time, and the bounce rate's really good or whatever, right? You can tell them metrics, right? You have data, and you could just say, I see you're running ads on Facebook, and I see you're running ads on Instagram or whatever. And then you could say, hey, let's make a deal. And then you could sell ad space. I mean, if you can tell them that you've historically been getting a certain number of page views and number of eyes on a page, then you can totally sell it. All right. Hemanth says, do I have any plans on building a niche site from scratch as a public case study in the future? No, I sure don't. Although that is a really popular question. It's a really popular question. It may be something in the future just because I'm asked about it and I've never done a public case study. I know a lot of times the public case studies are a great way to, get a lot of new people involved and stuff. So potentially the problem with the public case studies is like they always end in disaster because of negative SEO. So yeah, Marty's on. Marty will probably be on the channel sometime soon. Another student. You were driving, but you were listening, so that's cool. And everyone was so slow here. Yeah, I hear you. Traffic, man. All right. Yeah. So Marty, this is good. You say you regularly saw Reddit users talk trash about most successful and legit online entrepreneurs. Sadly, it's so negative. Yeah, and I think that I could tell you when I was getting, this goes back to the 1,000-day rule, by the way. So there's a period of time, like in your first year or so, where you are thinking like, why am I not able to do this? I have like more relevant experience than someone else, right? Um, I have an IT background. I build websites. I know how to do like some of this stuff that's like closely related. And you think you could like shortcut the process. And you may be able to shortcut certain things, right? You could, if you're a WordPress developer, you may be able to, get your site up and running a little quicker. Maybe you don't hit any, as many issues with like screwing up on WordPress and themes and stuff like that. But there are so many moving pieces, you will probably get hung up somewhere. All right. So I remember looking up to the people that I was following and I was like, man, like they're not even doing anything like that interesting, right? Like they're not they're like regurgitating stuff that I've heard before, which I know I end up doing because there's only so many topics and I try and go deeper and deeper in certain stuff, but sometimes it's just the answer is the answer, right? So at some point I was like, well, why am I not doing as well as them? And it's tough to when you compare yourself to other people, it's like you're going to lose, right? So you could only compare yourself to yourself in the past. So you have to remember that. And I know one of the problems with Reddit or like other areas is just like people are going to have an issue with you. Like the more people that know who you are, more people have an issue with you. So part of it is it's actually validating if I flip it on its head. Anyway, so good to hear from you, Marty, because I'm afraid if I did anything, people would just, if I posted anything in Reddit, there'd be more hate. And Anthony says, it would be awesome to see me make a site and showcase it as an example, something that wouldn't care too much about. Yeah. And Duke is saying, as long as I don't care about negative SEO, it would be great. Just look at it as training. And you know what potentially I could do is use it as an example to say, this is what happens when you get negative SEO, and here's exactly how you handle it, right? So that could be the way that I do it. And I think, right, potentially it would be something that I would do inside my course, right? So this would be time intensive. It would be, a cost, right? So it's not just, if I'm building a site, it's going to be a cost. So I would have to probably charge for it, right? So that would be the thing. Because I do so much for free. Like you guys are squeezing a lot out of me already. So, and I do teardowns. Hey Anthony, is it not helpful to see the teardowns of successful sites that are getting traffic? Because I thought that was a good way to sort of short circuit it. Oh, and Himanshu says, how many sites do I have or am I working on? Under 5, something like that. Okay. Ravindra says, what site structure do you suggest when you start with one micro niche and then plan to expand it? Well, I don't do that. So your question is slightly flawed, but you're asking if you should silo it or break it down. It doesn't really matter that much. Just make sure you interlink your site really well, and I think that will do the same job as what you're suggesting. So I'm not sure I understand the full context of your question, Ravindra. By the way, if you have the opportunity, it looks like we only have 26 likes, and I've answered definitely more than 26 questions. So if you have the opportunity, please hit the thumbs up. All right. All right. Himanshu says, how many sites do I have? And do I have any recommendations on how many sites one person can own? Okay. So my recommendation, like I said, less than 5. My recommendation is if you are just getting started, just start with 1. Right? Just start with 1 and then you'll be okay. Subham says, what do I think about the future of affiliate niche sites? Will it grow or decline? I think it depends on a lot of things, and I don't know. So I think it will shift, right? So if you look like 2 years ago and then 4 years ago, things are definitely different. A lot of the things are roughly the same. If you go back, 8 years ago, before I was into this stuff, there were still affiliate sites. There were other, ways to do SEO, but the like phases and like the main pieces are still there. It's just things are a little bit different. So I would suspect things are going to be a little bit different in the future. And I don't know, if it's going to grow or decline. I'm not really sure. Anthony says, with my existing income, would I buy a quote premium domain if it fits perfect for your niche and nothing else comes close to it? Probably not. No. And I don't know what you mean by premium domain. I'm not really sure what that means, but probably not. All right. Marcus says double thumbs up. Marty mentions you're wondering if the low quality sites will drop more and more due to Google getting enhancements and getting better. And yeah, I think that's probably true. And I mean, I think here's one thing I think. So every, year to 2 years or so, Google will like do like sort of a big widespread like penalty and or like de-indexing of like link um sort of like gray hat tactics, I'll put it that way. So that happens and it usually like sort of like gets a lot of people out of the competition in the market and stuff. And I don't think there's been a big one in the private blog network area in a while. And I mean, the engineers at Google are really smart on the spam team and stuff. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these bigger networks that are doing really well gets like infiltrated, right? It would be pretty easy for someone to, get some links to a few sites, right? And buy some links and then reverse engineer the network and then de-index like a big, huge, like, I mean, I'm calling it a private blog network, but I mean, these are places where you could buy links. I think probably one of the bigger networks is probably going to go down in the next, 18 months or something like that, because it's been a pretty long time. And that'll, damage a lot of sites. A lot of sites will lose their rankings and stuff like that. So that happens a few times, or it has happened a few times since I got started in affiliate marketing. Marty mentions that he has 2 sites and your hands are full. Duke says you have 3 sites and you have a hard time keeping up. Indeed. And basically, the thing is, there's a lot of overhead, and you could have like more sites, but you would probably need to have a manager work with like all the writers, for example, and then a manager to do all the outreach stuff, and then have like a team working underneath. So if you want to create that kind of structure, you could, but it's at that point, you're a manager and you have to manage the team and like deal with all of that. So, all right, cool. Thanks for the thumbs up, everyone. Appreciate it. Oh, and Marty is giving a plug for the course. Marty says you're a 5-figure niche site member, and you definitely recommend you check out my course. It's solid and it works. No tricks, just good, actionable ideas. Awesome. Thanks, Marty. Appreciate that. Anthony says, by premium, you're referring to a domain or site owners charging the excess of 1,000 to 10,000 for the domain. I would say no. Anthony, to pay that much, I think you would have to have like a really good reason to do that. And it would be around branding. And my thought is, like, if you're just starting a site, it doesn't really matter. I mean, for example, if Niche Site Project was taken or something like that, I wouldn't like pay a lot of money to get it. I would just like make up another domain name. So a lot of people were talking about setup tour and check my setup. And what do you mean by setup? What are we talking about? I threw out a lot of stuff, so I don't remember what I said. All right. Himanshu says 2 to 3 months before you came to know me, you saw my PBN course. You're curious to know about it. Any way to unrank another site by giving bad links? Is that bad tactics? Yes. Okay. So interesting thing. I used to be into private blog networks a lot. And then I got a lot of sites penalized and I lost a lot of money and decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So that is true. And I used to have a PBN course. That was one of my early courses with a friend, Lewis Ogden. So that course is not out there anymore. It's dead. I think it may still have some links to it. So I probably need to get rid of that. And Himanshu, you're saying, is there a way to unrank another site by giving it bad links? Is it bad tactics? Himanshu, what's your background? What, like, where, like, I guess, where are you getting your ideas? So first of all, so yes, you could do negative SEO. Basically, it's unethical and kind of a jerky thing to do. It's not against the law. It's just like a bad thing to do. So Himanshu, if you're you need to like rotate your like point of view, and I don't even know how to put this, but I don't recommend doing that. It's a bad thing to do. All right. Marcus says you'll have to work on sending in better questions for next time. It's super late where I am, so you're not the best to ask good questions. No worries. Yeah, if you think of them ahead of time, feel free to put them into the bit.ly link, which I don't remember where that is. It's good to get those in ahead of time a little bit. And we did get a handful more thumbs up. Really appreciate that, folks. Honestly, I don't know if it actually helps at all. Like if people like these videos, they end up watching them and then or not. Anthony says the tier downs are helpful to see what to avoid, but you'd rather have a plate from Chef Ramsay. That way, a richer way of digesting the information. So the thing is, Anthony, it's in the course, right? So I do a lot of stuff, a tremendous amount of videos. Again, I'm obviously answering all these questions, a lot of content, a lot of information for free. In this information, by the way, in the videos on the channel and then my blog, that stuff is better than a lot of courses that you will see out there, right? I've checked out some of the other courses. The content is very, very good. My very extremely best stuff is in the 5-figure niche site course. So I do have to like protect certain things and only reserve it for like people like Marty and I think Jeff was on earlier, some other, students, Agers, of course, and that is reserved. And I haven't done a case study in the course, but if I did one, it would probably be there. Again, it's obviously a lot of time and money. So that's just the way it would have to go, I think. I understand your point though. All right. Ravinder says, how important do I think it is to have a lot of articles on the same and similar topics to build relevance as opposed to covering a wider net? I think you have to look at how important it is to you to have relevance on that topic. Like, is that how the site's going to get traffic and make money? If so, then I say it's probably pretty important to have relevance on that topic. Yes, that is a very good idea to do that, especially, Ravinder, if you're thinking about doing your micro niches within a site. Doing that is a very good idea. Anthony says, we can gain insight on why I did things a certain way from my experience. Cool. Yeah. And I think, some of the longer form videos, it's an interesting mix on YouTube, of course. Some people tell me videos are too long. I don't want to hear the story. I just want to get like the action items, right? The story is actually really important because it does give you insight on why I did things a certain way. And it may go like really deep from my corporate career, for example, versus like just the facts. If you just get the tactical stuff, then, there's something missing. But then there's the other set of people like yourself, Anthony, which I appreciate. And you're like, oh, why did I do a certain thing? That is actually the important thing. Why? Subham says, what hosting do I use? Which hosting on which hosting your sites are hosted? Okay. I like Siteground. There's a link in the description. So Siteground's a nice place. I have accounts on Bluehost, MDD, Siteground, and a couple others. And Duke says, you reap what you sow, what goes around comes around. Attack others' websites and you will get attacked. And the bad part, Duke, is even if you don't attack other people's sites, your site will get attacked anyway. Wesley is on. What's up? Good to have you on. And yeah, Marty is mentioning it's short-term thinking. If you can't, build traffic and rank without it, and basically, like, there's no way that you would be able to effectively. I mean, you could hurt competitors, but you can't hurt all the competitors. You will lose doing that. John says, do I have a main seed keyword when I start out, or do you just fill out the site with keyword golden ratio articles? What's my advice on this? Oh, nice question. Nice question, John. So it's a blend of the two. So I don't really call it like a main seed keyword, but maybe it would be like a keyword which has a larger search volume in the 720 to 2500 range or more, right? 5,000, 8,000, something like that. And then a lot of other KGR terms. So when you're starting out your site, I recommend about 10 posts. I would recommend you have 80% of those as keyword golden ratio terms and about 20% as like larger volume keywords, I'll call it. And that's what I think you should do. And Marcus says you can confirm that my free stuff is better than some paid courses and other coaching programs. Cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. Marty, sends some people my way too. And I think, the interesting part is I know for a fact that some people attend these live sessions to ask me questions, but they're enrolled in some other course where they don't get enough information. And the reality is I try to do a good job answering the questions here, but sometimes I don't think I'm like straight up rude, but sometimes I'm hard on people when they ask a question that I think they should ask a better question, so I have a high standard for that kind of stuff. And I'll tell people if it's a bad question. I'm trying to get better. But to be honest with you, at the 96-minute mark here, I would get a little, impatient and stuff like that. But the fact is, the students, right? You could ask any question you want, and you'll get a very thorough answer with a lot of background. And I really try and dig in. In this format, if someone asked me, for example, like, while Ravindra is asking good, like in-depth questions. I can't really answer that well because I don't know the context of what Ravindra is talking about. So his questions are really good, but I can't really answer that well because I don't know all the pieces of the puzzle. So I have to make like 10 assumptions, kind of answer it, and it may or may not be helpful or correct. In the course, you get like good information. Now, anyway, I'll leave it at that. Anthony says 40 blog posts released all at once or trickled out over 3 to 4 months, which would be better and why? All right. So that's one of the questions in the frequently asked questions that I'll publish on Monday. And the question is assuming a couple things. Basically, publish everything as quickly as you possibly can. So if you can get stuff out in the 3 to 4 months and have it published for a longer period of time, a portion of them, then do that. Don't wait to publish them all at once. If you could publish them more quickly and publish, a smaller number, do that. You want them to be out there as long as possible. All right. And Evan says, get them all out there. It takes them time to rank. So you better get started ASAP. Yep. That is exactly what I'm saying. The longer they're published, the longer period they'll have to rank. Himanshu says the keyword golden ratio versus the SEO difficulty tools. Which do I prefer? The keyword golden ratio, I mean, it's an unfair question because I created the keyword golden ratio. And in general, I think the keyword difficulty tools can give you an idea how to prioritize different keywords, but they may not be a good gauge in general. I think the keyword competitiveness number by Longtail Pro is probably the most misleading of them all. So I would avoid that one. But if you're using a better tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, then I think their keyword difficulty is a great way to prioritize the keywords that you may have. Sita says, you have several pages with 2018 in the title. When 2019 comes around, should you update the content to 2019 or just remove the year and build backlinks? I would remove the year and build backlinks, but some other people may do the other stuff. Lance says, sorry I'm getting in late. How is the FAQ going? That'd make most of these questions go away. Oh, Lance, I hope so. I'm almost done. I got a little proofreading to do, and then I'm going to get it out on Monday. And there will be more your sentiment of the questions going away is really nice, but I have a feeling people are still going to ask questions that I've already answered. But at least we'll have somewhere to point them to, and they'll be able to read a lot. So I think that'll be cool. But the reality is you can assume that they're going to take a look, but some people are just going to hop on the channel for the first time and they may see I'm live and they'll hop over for a second and then they may not know. So I have to respect that. I mean, that is just the reality of how this works, but I'm almost done with it. Team is on. What's up? Anthony says, do I have a Patreon? I definitely should have that as an option for people who can't afford, but can give back since I've given so much. Anthony, that's a good question. Every now, there will be periods where people will ask about Patreon. I have thought about it, and when I look at the model, I would prefer to just have a PayPal link, and then people can do that. Some people have bought Amazon gift cards, for example, and then I put it back into the channel, right? Like this webcam that I'm using, I upgraded from my laptop to this better webcam. And it was because someone donated, they gave me a gift card. right? So, and I totally appreciate it. With Patreon, they take like 10%. I thought about putting the super chat, they take 30%, right? So there's a lot of like gaps in it. If I just do PayPal, right, then at least it's 2.9% plus 35 cents or whatever it is. So anyway, Anthony, that is an interesting idea. If you want to buy a gift card for me, totally would appreciate it. I usually give people a shout out several times. And someone else gave me $50 and I bought like several books, which I shared those. So anyway, I totally understand the course is quite expensive and it'd be cool to have some other mechanism, but the other thing is I don't want to, hop on and be asking for stuff, right? I feel bad enough asking for the likes, which doesn't work much. So anyway, Patreon could be an option indeed. All right. Sita says, you're coming from another course, but you prefer my info. You say, I'm not nice and the other course is too nice and keep you, which is generally not helpful. Sita, can you rephrase that? It sounds like you're saying I'm not nice and not helpful. So maybe rephrase that because I answered quite a lot of your questions. So, all right. Duke says, here's it. All right. Duke says, can you rank #1 on Google tomorrow using SE Nuke, an article marketing robot? Yeah. So you know what? I think if you go for a term that no one is ranking for, that no one would search for, I bet you could. All right. Thanks for that, Duke. Appreciate it. And thank our kind moderators. We have Lance and Duke and some other people on here. I think Jaron hopped in for a minute, but I haven't seen him around. Okay. Shane says, you wanted to let me know that you posted 30 KGR articles with 1,000 words each 2 months ago, and they're starting to rank. One article already got you a sale. Shane, that's awesome. Really cool. Inspiring. Thanks for sharing that. Wesley says you own a lifetime account to Longtail Pro and you don't use it. You would even feel slimy if you tried to sell it. Yeah, it is. It used to be a great tool. It's still recommended by a lot of people because they have a decent affiliate program. All right, Ravindra says, for more in-depth questions and consulting, do I recommend 5-figure niche site or one-on-one coaching, assuming somebody already has their basics in place? So I think probably the one-on-one coaching if you have basics in place. Ravindra, I think one thing that I see often is people have like a baseline set of knowledge, but maybe it's not complete or maybe some of it is incorrect depending on where you like learned it from. So it depends, but if you shoot me an email, in fact, if you go to nichesiteproject.com/hire-me, then you can check out some of the stuff, the information there. A lot of times one-on-one coaching will get you really far. And actually I've done a few recently, so they go pretty well. Anthony says, how do you handle large video transfers to my editors? I upload them with Google Drive and then they download it over in the Ukraine. All right. Kelly says you'd love to be a case study. Yeah, I am. Kelly, have you shoot me an email if you have not, just Doug at nichesiteproject.com and I'll have a look. That'll be awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing really well. And Ravindra, Marty is telling you that as a member, you have web chats where you could ask questions. Yeah, so those are some of the most valuable sessions. It's hard to explain it, but yeah, those are really good just in general. All right. Jay Bonner, or Mike says, thanks to the mods and asking worked like a charm for you. Okay. Jay Bonner says you have 49 posts and they're starting to get redundant. Should you keep creating or will you get penalized if they're too similar? You probably won't get penalized if they're too similar, but yeah, if it's redundant, then maybe you should just add to it. All right, Sita says, you meant I'm not trying to please, I'm honest and straightforward, which is good. Cool. You've learned a lot more from me than um from you than others that tolerate mediocre thinking. Cool. And you know what? I realize you know what? One of the people that I follow is Ramit Sethi, and he is a little abrasive. Some people just straight up don't like him, and other people really like him. And he is hard on his audience, right? He's hard on the audience. He wants you to, be the best that you could be yourself. And it's interesting. I've taken a lot of cues from him, I think. So I try and put out really good, like free content. And then once you're inside his courses, he's a little bit, warmer. He still has like high standards and stuff, but, he is a little bit more polite inside the course. But it is a good way to polarize. Like, I mean, I want people to think they like me or they don't like me. I don't want someone to think, I'm not sure, seems fine, right? So that's good feedback. Thanks, Sita. Okay. John Miller says the all in title shows under 150 and it doesn't hit the KGR number. Is it still worth doing, seeing as the results are low for all in title? Sure. Seems fine. Lance says, other than your course, have I sold any other info products or real products or just affiliate marketing? Actually, this could be a good topic for another day. So yeah, I've actually sold a few info products. Actually, here's a question for the people in the chat. Would you be interested in hearing like the first time I sold something, which I was like a little kid, and then I had like a lawn care business when I was like starting when I was about 12 or so, all throughout like high school and like part of college, which I didn't realize I had like any sort of like entrepreneurship like tendencies or whatever. But when I thought back, like, yeah, I was like 4 or 5 years old, like selling something, and then didn't really do much for a while. And then, I mean, I did have the lawn care stuff, but yeah, let me know. Would you be interested in hearing like the first time I sold something, and then the lawn care business, and then the info products? So Lance, when I launched Niche Site Project, I came out with an ebook, and it went through a couple iterations, right? So there was an ebook, and then I had like a video course, which was really just like a glorified ebook, right? So it wasn't as in depth. I did the private blog network course with my friend Lewis, like I mentioned before. So PBN course back in the day. And I think that is it from like that perspective. I haven't sold any like real products. And I've done some affiliate marketing, of course, as it is under the umbrella of, Niche Site Project or Amazon affiliate marketing and stuff like that. Okay. So, John says, also, if you have an all in title of a result with a really low number like 7, is it worth doing considering the volume is 1 to 100? Yes. So, John, I think there's another section in the frequently asked questions where it's like, I found X. Should I do it? Generally, the answer is always yes. Now, depends on what you're trying to do and a lot of other factors, but if you think you should maybe try something, yes, definitely try it. Do anything. Do something. Do a thing, and then like you're in good shape. You could adjust along the way. So yeah. So if you think something's a good idea, then yeah, try it. Joe, you made it. Awesome. Good to have you on. What questions do you have? Sita says, apologies for the misunderstanding. You could have phrased it better. That's cool. I'm not reading well, I would say. All right. Ravender says, thanks to Marty and me. Duke says you use a criteria where basically it's under 1 for the KGR and you go from there. I have a sliding scale that's sort of a progressive. I don't have full data back on this testing that I was trying, but yeah. Kaylee says, does anyone else's search volume data disappear from the search console? Also, keywords everywhere isn't displaying data for you. I haven't noticed that, but I haven't looked in a couple weeks or so. I think keywords everywhere seems to be working fine. Tima says you attend live sessions because the high standard of conversation and the get things done mindset. Cool. Thank you. Marty says you'd like to hear about the background. Awesome. Tima would like to hear it. Okay, excellent. Manchu says you want to know the first thing I sold in my education. Am I an IT engineer? Cool. Oh, and the setup tour is where I work. So like my messy desk right here. Yeah. And I'm in the guest room. So the bed's behind me and I use the bed as a shelf. Yeah. But you can't see how messy the desk is. It's not that bad really, but okay, cool. Good to know. I think that could be a good topic in general. All right. And yes, well, I have a computer engineering degree, but mostly did project management. And then, yep. And I just have a bachelor's degree. Sirius says the KGR video has helped a lot for an AdSense site and it's making you $200 a month. Awesome. Good to hear. Congratulations. That's pretty awesome. Duke confirmed that keywords everywhere is down as well. Danish says, how many guest posts are you able to do on a monthly basis? Well, it depends on what I'm trying to do. So generally I do 0, but if I'm trying to do guest posts, I'll do as many as I need to do. So that's not really a good question. It's not a good answer. So I'm not sure. It's a reasonable question, but maybe it's helpful to know that I'm not trying to do any guest posts right now. So do you want to rephrase it, Danish, to something more helpful for you in your case? Jamo says you created a site in January using the KGR. It has 4 money articles and 4 informational articles, and it's making $20 a month. What's my advice? Well, that's great. 6 months old, 8 articles, making $20 a month. Well, this is one of those deals where, again, like it's hard for me to know the context of what you're trying to do. So it all depends on your goal, Jamo. So if you're trying to make $20 a month, congratulations, you've reached your goal. If you're trying to make, $20,000 a month, then you need to do more. All right. So I would advise you to publish more content and maybe get some backlinks. All right. Danish says, how many guest posts should you be doing on a monthly basis? Much better question. Thank you for rephrasing. All right. Keep in mind, you've just been able to get 3 guest posts up until now. All right. This is great. Danish, how long did it take you to get the 3 guest posts? This is really good. So this is potentially how like maybe a coaching session could maybe go. Although it's way faster because I could be more direct and just ask questions and you have to do homework ahead of time, Marty and I had a discussion recently. He had homework ahead of time, so I know what I needed to look at for him, 1 month. Okay. So everyone pay attention. So Danish says, how many guest posts should I be doing on a monthly basis? The original question is like, how many am I able to do? I've done like 30 or 40 of them in a month, but that's like a bad answer to someone who was just able to get their first 3 guest posts in 1 month, which is great. 3 guest posts in 1 month. Fantastic. Danish, you're on the right track. So the thing is, you should think about yourself. So my suggestion is how many you should be doing. I think next month you should maybe aim for 6 guest posts. All right. So it's going to be more than you did before. It's a little bit of a stretch. And to my point, like you maybe shouldn't like get your cue from like what I could do or what I have done, right? You should look back at what you've done and improve on what you've done. So if you're, don't try to compare yourself to other people, just compare yourself to like where you were. Is that helpful, Danish? Aim for 6, report back. All right. All right, Himanshu, have a good one. Thanks for staying up late. All right, any other questions? We're pushing 2 hours and starting to get a little, my throat, my voice is getting a little quiet. And yeah, so there's a mini course coming out. If people are not on my email list, please do go to nichesiteproject.com. There's a link in the description. There's a mini course I'm doing via email. It's free. You'll get the emails if you're on the email list. July 9th, the week of July 9th, it's a 3-parter, and it'll sort of like cue you up and get you ready to like launch a site. It'll help you refine your goals, figure out like what you're trying to do and why. Really important. And what else do I have going on while I'm burning time waiting for the last few questions to come through here? Let's see. Oh, I think, my wife and I are doing a podcast. So I think we're going to launch it in the next like week to 10 days or so. So keep an eye on that. I'll probably talk about it a lot. And it's called Survive the 9 to 5. We kind of need to get the website sort of fixed up a little bit. We need to, I think today on my list, I have a few things to do related to it. Anthony says, do I donate to any charities? Yes, some, but we're not like huge, like we're not like very involved in any specific thing, but we usually give like to the food banks, like when we were in Atlanta, we did, and we do here as well in Bozeman. Sirius says, my videos are much better than most of the SEO gurus. I'm to the point, easy to understand. Thanks. And you would love to have a video on backlinks on my channel. Cool. Turns out there's a lot of them already. So if you just do a search on like backlinks or SEO, you should find like, probably 10 different videos. Maybe half of them are about, or they're like long workshops where I like kind of go through the process. So have a look there. Is there anything specific with backlinks that you're interested in, Sirius? And then I'll wait for one more question if there are any, and then get out of here. All right. And it does sound, Kaylee, sounds like there are intermittent issues with like the search volume stuff. So I'm not really sure what's up with that. Sometimes there's outages though. All right, really cool. We had a lot of folks on today. It's interesting. Sometimes there's a whole lot more, and I don't know. Sometimes there's not many at all. Himanshu says, is my wife also a digital marketer? No, she's not. No, she doesn't have very many entrepreneurship tendencies either. She's not very interested in it. All right, you're interested to know what the best strategies are for backlinks in 2018. Well, so my recommendation previously stands. The other videos on SEO and backlinks, pretty solid. There will be one that I'm publishing on Monday. Dave Fox talks about like this outreach sort of strategy, which isn't all that original, but like, every now and then you'll hear someone, revisit a specific way to do outreach. This is a great way to do it. We have some templates to share. And I mean, as normal, it's not a hack. It's not something fast you can do. This is not easy, but if you do it, it's going to work, and a lot of other people are not going to do it, and other people are not going to be able to copy it. So if you want links that, take some time and you're willing to put in the work, it will definitely work. And probably your competitors are not going to do it because it's not necessarily easy or fast. So, all right, Duke needs to get to work. I need to get out of here. Anthony says, any plans on kids? No, we're not planning on having kids, actually. And on that note, I'm out of here. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for hanging in there. We had a nice long 2-hour session today. So that's a fun one. Lots of good questions. And keep an eye out for the videos that are going to drop on Monday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And then we have the FAQ on Niche Site Project, which could be very interesting. Oh, and the last thing I'll mention is I've been doing some on-site stuff on Niche Site Project, and traffic is up on certain pages quite a lot, and stuff that I could share with everyone from like a case study perspective. So it's like improving content, adding new content to existing posts, right? It's on-page optimization. This is like real boring technical SEO stuff. Looking through the data, 301 redirect from old content to new, better content, 410, getting rid of old content. And there's been like an uptick in the last like month from organic search traffic just from like cleaning up stuff. So, all right, thanks everyone. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday.